Hey everybody, sit down around the hearth, grab a frosty mug of ale. Welcome to the Lion's Pride Tavern, where we discuss all things Azeroth. Hey everybody, this weekend we tried Heroic Emerald Nightmare and went back to TOV. We discuss artifact power gathering and the Feast of Winterveil coming soon to a major city near you. Let's introduce our panel. First off, I'm your host, Fafford. I play a Dwarven Beastmaster Hunter in the awesome game World of Warcraft. Next up, we have Joe Bowie.
Hi, I'm Joe Bowie. I play a Worgen Fire Mage.
Next up, Lorelei.
Hi, it's Lorelei, your Night Elf Fury Warrior.
And our tank from up north, Epistle.
Greetings, Epistle. I play a Draenei Protection Paladin.
So tonight we do not have Tappuccino with us. She had a date night, I'm assuming with her husband. And no special guest tonight, so we're going to jump right in. We're going to start off with this weekend's raid and how we did. Joe Bowie, you want to give us a recap?
Well, we took down Nefendra, and Emerald Nightmare's Heroic, and then we went on to Ursoc, which we did pretty well on Ursoc for having, I think we had only previously tried it on Heroic for one or two polls or something to that effect, but we did pretty well. I think we were a little short on DPS as far as being able to down the boss. I mean, we didn't get quite that close. We made a number of attempts on it and eventually kind of decided that maybe we should move on over to the Trial of Valor and give Odin a chance this is on the first night, to see if maybe we could knock out Odin on that first night so that we could move on to the second boss. What's his name? Nurog?
Guarm. Second one in Trial of Valor?
Yeah, it's Guarm.
It's Guarm. Yes,
Guarm.
Weird name. Guarm.
Yeah, that's the name I was trying to think. I'm sorry about that. But we didn't take down Odin on that first night, and then we came back the next night, and we pushed on Odin on normal, and we had a little trouble where we were getting near the end, and there was just, the tanks were getting squished by the boss from his big nasty spear that he throws out, and we had to figure out a nice way to keep them alive just a little bit longer, because we were really getting down to 1 and 2% on the left on the boss to finish the fight. And so we worked out a little bit of a strategy on how to do that, and managed to take down Odin, but did not move on to Guarm because we were out of time.
So I'm going to skip to Epistle. Let's talk about the tank fight with Odin. What did you guys change up to make us finish it?
Yeah, he really wanted to play hard with us and kick us around. What we'd have been doing is sort of tank swapping back and forth and creating distance, because if you don't know the mechanic, Odin is going to set up to throw a spear at the tank, and if he does and is successful, well, who's going to interrupt him? He's Odin after all. He'll shoot you, and if you're right beside him, you'll get one-shotted. It'll do more damage than the tank's got health. So if you get farther away, it reduces the damage. If you mitigate the damage using any kind of tricks that the tank has up their sleeve, that also can reduce it. The difficulty is there's so much damage going around in that fight that sometimes you have to use one of those anyways, and trying to get some mitigation in combination with getting out of his spear, that can run into trouble. And so we were kind of using all our tricks and everything we had up our sleeves, and between the two of us, we weren't quite able to pull it off. Then one of our members of the raid had a bright idea that we should use other pally buffs, Blessing and Protection actually. Put those on if we just called for it, and that gave us just that little wiggle room that we needed if one of the cooldowns was up. One of our cooldowns was up. to be able to help us just survive that fight. Even then, we still had to have a couple of B-reses to keep us up and going, but this fight, like I was hoping, we finally ended with both tanks actually standing on their feet, which was a bit of a novelty.
Well, I guess if I remember right, there wasn't too many actually dead at the end of the fight. I think there was like 4 or 5 of us.
Yep, once we got that extra little trick to avoid the damage of the spear, it made it a much more manageable fight.
And that's what I love about our group. We all work really well together. Donna Bell was the one that came up with that suggestion. She was just like, if you're taking that much damage, why don't I just throw, this protection on you right when you call for it, and we'll see if that works. And that was enough to throw us over.
Yep. Well, it helps too that she's tanked a lot before. She knows the last thing you want to do is throw that on a tank when they actually want threat, because for those of you who don't know, it eliminates threat. So if you've been building up threat on the boss and then suddenly you don't have it, not so good. So as long as we called for it and she had it set up, we were great.
Yeah. So good way to use all your pieces and parts of your puzzle when you're trying to figure out these fights.
Every tool in your toolbox.
I think I actually noticed when she threw that on you, because I believe I got threat on the boss right at that moment, which I was actually happy about, because as a mage, I had learned from our previous wipes that when I get aggro on the boss and he throws that nasty spear on me, I could just ice block and it negated all the damage from the spears. So I thought, well, I can take one of the spears for the tanks, because...
Which would have been perfect, but it was actually, I think it was Bronze decided to taunt off of you because he wanted to make sure you didn't die, so we had the DPS. He didn't know you were doing that trick. So everybody was using every tool in their toolbox.
Yeah, and it worked out.
Lorelei, you got anything to add?
Well, I wasn't there the other night to get through that with you, but it from running it previously, it is all about trying to figure out what to do and how to avoid as much damage as possible. I think DPS, and I know I am guilty of this many times, I run too far away from the orbs, and then I have a tendency to get hit by them when I'm running back. So I guess DPS can step back, and then you can get right back on the boss, and then you don't have anything flying around you. Because I know the other night, Friday night, people were getting stunned while they were on the runes, and that was just because they were like, oh, I have to leave this ad on the rune, and they were trying to do what they were supposed to do, but no, you have to get off that rune and drag him with you, and then just drag him back, otherwise you're going to die.
Yeah. So I noticed the one thing that was giving us a little bit of trouble was the whirlwinds when they would drop on Odin, and that's in third phase or fourth phase.
Yeah.
Third, yeah.
So it's really important that if you're doing Trials of Valor, there is some areas of that room section that you can run to and drop your whirlwinds further out. Now, granted, that means you're further away from your healers, but it gives more room for everybody else to run around. And if you're casting a spell or, right in the middle of a big long shot, you just got to stop and move, because if you put one of those whirlwinds, I think that was hurting us a lot too. They were too close to the boss. And then, just being able to get those far enough away to the outside edge of the room. Center circle's a little harder. You get it towards the back of the circle. Is it possible to be the back of the circle? I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up by the stairs. And the
Yeah.
dice.
Well, it's a circle. It's like tell somebody to go stand in a corner in a circular room.
There's another nice thing about that fight too that you can do is once you've seen, because the pattern is not set, as far as like what floor order is going to come up. Once you've seen the floor order in the fight, you can then predict it. So if you get, after you've done 2 of the sections of the floor, you then know what the pattern is. And so as soon as the floor goes blank, because it goes blank for a second where none of the floor is lit up, you can easily and quickly call out which section is going to be next. And that made it a little easier. I was able to like call out which section was coming up for the group before it even lit up on the floor.
Well, a couple times when the tornadoes got dropped in the wrong spot, tanks would be running to try to get away from Odin, and then you have to kind of dodge one of those and move around, and it decreases your distance, and it's an ugly scene. And occasionally, on a couple of our not so successful attempts, we got caught up in the tornado, which means you don't get the distance, and you're probably going to die.
So I just want to add one thing to our weekend raid. I decided that I wanted to. We have a little ritual that we do at times when we're having troubles with the boss. Is we throw down our rainbow generators and we punt our puntable marmots. So I got everybody to line up, and we all did the rainbow generator. It looked absolutely beautiful, and I will post that. I got to get it produced up, but I will post that on my YouTube channel. But Joe Bowie goes, Fafford, take a step to your left.
I was just trying to get you to like balance it out because you were like kind of standing right on top of somebody, and there was this gap between me and you. And I just thought if you took a step to your left, then it would like look cooler.
And this was on Ursoc, and so I went to step left, and from playing some other games, I used my G13, and I have a sidestep, but not in WoW. I don't have a sidestep in WoW. But I heard sidestep, so I automatically hit my sidestep button, which is my attack button.
Wait, I thought it was your face pull button.
Yeah, but now it's my face pull button, and I pulled the boss. So that was our first wipe on Ursoc Heroic.
That was funny.
That was pretty funny. But I'm even more surprised you don't have a strafe button set up.
Nope.
Really?
Nope, because
Oh, wow.
I run with my mouse.
Oh wow. Okay. I run with my mouse too, but I use my strafe buttons like constantly.
No, well, maybe we could talk about that. How do you play styles? So keyboard play styles. Let's start with you, Joe Bowie. How do you play?
Well, I use like the ASDW. I know some people like to shift it over to ESDF, so they have a little bit more buttons there. But I like to just leave it ASDW for my movement, and then I use the right mouse button for looking around pretty constantly, so that I can strafe left and right and kind of always keep the boss in front of me, because it's so important with being a spellcaster that my target be in front of me. Otherwise, my spell will just kind of fizzle out and not actually attack the target. And so that's primarily how I do it most of the time. And I do use both mouse buttons down to run forward, but I only do that, on occasion. Most of the time I use the ASDW to move, forward, backwards, left, and right. But when holding down the right mouse button, the A and D keys, which would normally be your turn right, and rotate left, become just a strafe right and left, because you're holding your view in a particular direction, and then you can run sideways, which allows me to change positions without losing sight of the target.
Okay, Epistle, you got any?
Yeah, I think I talked about this as a tip a few weeks ago. I am one of these people who shifts the keyboard, so I do ESDF, and I've got, as a touch typist, more keys to work with. And yeah, it's a combination of moving those with the mouse, and I've been doing that for years now, and it's very fluid and very smooth. I feel like I've got very fine control, and I can turn and look at my target while I'm running, and spin around, get ready to run away immediately. Gives you real ease of movement. Yeah, especially if you're tanking and have to run away quickly or do other sort of maneuvers.
And Lorelei?
I use both to the keys, and I actually have on my mouse. I have the roller button is my run. It depends. It's situational, because if I'm because I'm staying up close to the boss, I don't need to move around as much, so I tend to use the keys. But if I have to go from one place to the next, or go from a boss to ads, then I tend to use my mouse because it's a little quicker.
Okay. See, and I use a Logitech G13, which is like a secondary keyboard, except I use my mouse to run, and all the keys on my Logitech are nothing but your, you know, your attack buttons, your, wherever you might place them on your shortcut bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on up. And I find it very handy because I use just both mouse buttons to run and just use my mouse to move all over the place. So I also have there's a thumb joystick on this, and I can use that if I'm using my mouse button to do something else. But I don't use my keyboard per se at all. I mean, I never touch those keys. So a little bit different play style from the rest of you. You know, it's interesting that you guys all use the, the same ASDF for movement. I've since day one I've always used both mouse buttons to run, but I wear out probably a mouse every 8 months.
Now,
I have to go buy a new one.
do you have to like when you're moving, like let's say you have to move laterally, like left and right, do you have to basically turn in that direction in order and like look away from the boss while you're moving left
Yep.
and right then? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, but what I
So
do
a slight
is
delay then.
yeah, very slight. Now that's only in WoW. In some of these other games I play, you have to have a strafe button. But in WoW, being a hunter, it's not that important because you've got some, especially a Beastmaster, you've got some commands that you don't even have to be facing the boss and still use your pet commands when they're on cooldown to attack. So the only thing that you're not doing is getting in that melee attack, or I'm sorry, not melee, but your shooting attack.
Sure.
You know, you're facing away.
With one of the things that happened with Legion was when they took away a lot of our glyphs. They took away glyph of momentum for mages, which that allowed me to blink in whatever direction I happened to be moving. And
yeah,
so
that was great.
So I used to use that constantly to blink to I would strafe blink to the left or to the right, or I would blink backwards, or whichever direction I needed to blink. It was super, super handy, and they took that away. It took me weeks to get used to, oh, my blink only works whichever way I'm facing.
I don't know why they took that out, do you?
I
PvP
don't
advantage
know.
or something?
I never saw an explanation as to why that particular glyph was not like given back to us as something useful. I don't know why. I wish it was back. I still miss the glyph of momentum. I used it for years and loved it, and but yeah, that was a part of my movement initially, like how I would position myself with the boss when I had to get out of fire on the floor. I would just blink backwards or to the side or whichever way was open, and then I could keep on casting. So that was quite a bit different. But I don't know why they changed that.
That's a pity.
So just a quick question. I noticed when we were at Trials of Valor, there was a lot of people talking about the Lost Army quest, collecting fragments. Anybody want to care to explain that one to me? Because I did that and I didn't get a fragment one, so I'm not quite sure how to do that one. Jobu, you got anything? Have you done it?
I do have the quest, and essentially what it appears to be, there's these vestments of the chosen dead. At least that's what it's called for me, which is like I believe it's basically a transmog outfit, and what you have to do is while killing stuff in the Trial of Valor raid, you get these Valjar soul fragments, and you gotta collect 1,000 of them, which seems pretty excessive. I mean, you'd have to do a lot of Trial of Valor. I assume I have heard you can get them in LFR, and you can get them out of normal. I don't know if you can get them out of both each week, or if you can do different difficulty levels to get more of them. I've also heard that there's some world quests out there that these will drop from as well, but I haven't actually done that myself. I have 11 of 1,000 so far. It's one of those things that I'm not really expecting to happen for quite a long time for me. But yeah, and I think the different sets, each set is different. Like the set that I'll get is for priest, mage, and warlock, so cloth wearers. And then if you get the quest for like a plate wearer or mailer, or leather, then you would get a different set, which has a slightly different look to it.
But where are you actually gathering the fragments? What are they coming off of? Is it the trash?
Well, there is no trash ahead of Odin, so and I have 11 so far, which I think probably got off of trash on the way to the second boss in the last time after we beat Odin and then made our way to the second boss. I probably got some off of the trash, but I didn't actually notice what I was getting that off of because I don't recall getting any off of Odin this week.
Lorelei, did you get it? Do you know how you get them?
Yeah, you can do it from the bosses. They don't always drop off of every boss, from what I've seen. Since I've been doing this, I've got 496 already. So it actually,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I think I got like 40 on one or 40 at the end of a night running, and we usually can get down in the beginning 2 of them at least. They also drop from world quests in Stormheim. There's a Hellerjar landing, the Wrecked world quest, the Marauder, Cursed Sea Dog, things like that that are over in Stormheim as far as world quests.
Yeah, because I did see a couple drop for me once when I was in around Stormheim as well. I couldn't remember which mob, but it was a world quest. But
Okay.
I'm up to Grand 13 now.
Well, I must have just got it because they were talking about it in raid chat. They kept posting the quest, and it was showing how many each person had, and I must have just got it because I'm 0 of 1,000.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's also, aside from the ones in Stormheim, I know there's a world quest that pops up in High Mountain, along the western coast of High Mountain, where Helya, which is the final boss of Trial of Valor, is kind of being summoned in this ghostly form by this large pool of water by these kind of Valajar ghosty looking guys. And I have heard from people that if you kill those Valajar ghosty looking guys that are trying to summon her, then you will get those soul fragments from those guys as well.
That may have been where I got mine from.
Okay.
Yeah, probably anything that's connected with a Stormheim or the Valajar.
Nice. All right. So speaking of world bosses, did anybody notice this week that there were 2 world bosses, but one only lasted like 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
did.
I didn't.
Yeah, I did that extra world boss on all of my available 110s when I saw it come up in Suramar. Yeah, and then I was confused because it came up on Monday, and
Yep.
I was like, well, was this a bug? Or what's going on here? Why is there a world boss up? It's not Tuesday, and nobody seemed to know that I had asked. Of my friends that were online at the time, nobody knew. They just knew there was a world boss up, and we were running to go do it. And as it turns out, I later found out that there is at least this world boss, which is this one is called Nazak the Fiend, and he spawns on the western side of Suramar, and he is not on the same timer, which is the weekly reset timer that where a world boss pops up on Tuesday, as all the other world bosses. He is on his own separate timer, but there's no definitive information about what that timer is or when he will spawn.
So another really good reason to get the add-on, World Quest List, because that's how I noticed it. I'm a stickler for just going out and doing resource world quests, and I looked. I was like, "Whoa, there's one for 1,000. Oh, that's the world boss. Wait, but there's another one." And I did mine on Tuesday, and so I did Nazak, and I'd never done that spider boss before. I had a heck of a time finding it because it's in a big pit. I wish my mage was easy because I just feather falled and went down to the bottom, but my hunter died hitting the bottom. Then I had to come back. But
Well, yeah, I was trying to find him on Lorelei, and I couldn't find where he was, and then I found him on another tune and got him down.
yeah, so if you're looking for him next time he pops up, when you come off the flight path that's closest to it, just go running in his direction, and all of a sudden you'll see this big opening, and there's a spider web going all the way across. You can jump onto that platform. You do take damage from hitting it though, but then you can get down. I don't know the actual way down. I just jumped off the cliff, but then
There
I
are,
realized, yeah, I'm sure there is.
yeah, there's spider webs that you can take down. You can also, there is a cave entrance near there because it's Falinar. So there's actually you can get a portal that leads down into Falinar that you can run inside of Falinar and through it, but you have to go through a lot of like trash stuff to get to it. Or you can jump down in that hole and like slow fall or glide, or you can walk down the spider webs that are strung up along all the ruins that are inside of there, or you can go in the cave entrance and walk down some stairs and through some trash to get down to that room. There's like 3 ways that I know of to get down there.
Well, there's also the tank way,
Which
which
is
is leap into the abyss and just hit your damage mitigation before you hit the ground.
oh yeah, yeah.
And you
See,
land with a thump.
I forgot about my goblin gliders until the second time I jumped down there.
Well, the spider webs can mess with you on that one too.
Yeah. All right. So we did have a question from a listener. And by the way, we are at this week, with the added new week, we're at 16,050 listeners now. And that, you got to understand, that's total number of listeners that have listened to our podcast for the last 14 weeks. So you got to divide it out to get an average, but we went up almost 1,000 listeners in just a week. So that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for listening, folks.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So the question was from our listener, do you use bank tunes? Why and how? So, Joe Bowie, do you have a bank tune?
I don't anymore. I used to, but then I went on a bender type of decision where I was going to have, this is towards the end of Warlords of Draenor, I was going to have one tune of every single class on one server, the main server that I play on. And so I now have 12 tunes that are either level 100 or on their way towards 110. And I have one of each in every class. None of them are a specific bank tune. I do sort of use bank tune style things though still, because I have different classes that have different professions, and some of them are my primary class profession ones. So what I'll end up doing is sending all of the particular type of resources to that tune. Like if I want to disenchant something, it goes to Joe Bowie. If it pertains to leatherworking, then it goes to my character Pud. So it really just depends on what the items are. And then I have some characters that they're just kind of, I don't play them as much, and they tend to be like more storage things. So I'll send them stuff that I want to keep that's not soulbound, but I don't want to clutter up my own personal bank. So I kind of do, but I don't have a particular tune that is set for just that purpose. I spread it across multiple tunes now.
Okay. Epistle?
One of my favorite things in WoW is that I have a bank tune. He has a life of his own. He has all the gear. Everything you can wear at a level 1. He's got a mount, the chauffeur mount that will move him around everywhere. I just have had so much fun playing him. And over the years, I've tried to get everything I can for him without leveling him up. But sadly, at a Brewfest a few years ago, he fell down a mountain, discovered a new area, and went to level 2. But other than that, I'm trying to keep him totally low, and I've just had a lot of fun with him. So he does all the all the auctioneering add-ons. Anything I experiment with goes to that tune. He does all the storage, and even my kids sort of talk about him as this sort of epic character because he's always. I didn't do transmogs much, but for this guy, I do everything.
So he's kind of a lost toy Rudolph type story guy.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a
Lorelei?
gnome.
I do, and it's usually a tune that I've decided not to play for a while. It was my shaman inscriptionist toward for most of Draenor, and then I decided I needed to get her played and leveled up because I needed some glyphs. And now I've decided I'm not really playing my warlock that much, so he has now been regulated to the bank tune section of my WoW game.
Interesting. So I actually have a bank tune named Bankalicious. And Bankalicious is also my auctioneer. So I don't have to. She sits in Stormwind. It's all she does is auction, runs, stores stuff. So she's got all my quests for Darkmoon Fair. Besides the ones I had put in the guild bank, but I just mail everything off my tunes that I want to save or put in the guild bank to Bankalicious, and then she turns around and puts it in the guild bank for me because she's right there by the bank. She runs the auction house and sells whatever. She's my auction house tune. I log on to her almost daily just to see how my auctions are doing. Because as everybody knows, it is so difficult to earn gold nowadays to pay for your subscription. I think that was, I said that when they came out with those tokens. I said, this is a bad thing. They're going to lose money big time because people are going to start paying with WoW gold rather than the tokens. But you still got to have somebody buying the tokens to get the token in WoW to buy the time, but still,
Yeah,
I
but
knew it wasn't a good idea.
Well, I
Well,
think they're making a fortune off of those tokens.
yeah, they are because
Probably.
the tokens cost $20 to buy with real money, right? So instead of you paying, somewhere between $15 and $12, depending on how many months of time that you buy at a time, they're making $20 a month off of not you per se because you're paying for the gold, but you're paying these other people who are paying $20 for those tokens. So they're getting your subscription at $20 a month instead of at $12 to $15 a month.
And
Right.
cutting out the gold farmers, I would think.
Yeah, that was another big one.
Right, and that's the deal. If they're cutting out you being able to buy gold or to get gold to buy a token, you're not going to buy as many tokens. And so those people that are buying tokens, the tokens are up for sale because somebody bought them for right now on my realm. It's 56,000 for a game token. So I got to buy that token.
But I get what you're saying. You're saying
yeah.
The economics of the game, people are not making as much gold, so they're not buying as many tokens, so they're losing money on the adventure.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Because I don't think they just sell the tokens. You can go pay $20 for it real cash, but you got to get somebody. You got to put it on the auction house, and you got to get somebody to buy that token before you get your realm gold for that token. And if we're not producing and gaining gold like we did, because I remember just right before Draenor ended, our tokens were only like, I think they were 26,000 is all they were. They've doubled in price.
Yeah,
so
it's
that's
the supply
telling
and
me,
demand thing.
Yeah. That's telling me there's, that was a real mistake for them. In my personal opinion, I could be wrong. I mean, you guys can discuss this. I mean, if you think I'm wrong, but boy, making gold now is tough. I mean, how are you guys doing it?
Well, I used to buy my subscription with gold in the game because back with the garrisons, I had worked out how to make a good amount of gold without having to work the auction house all the time and all that by doing my missions with my followers in the garrison and having them set up a certain way, which worked great. and I made enough gold to maintain my subscription. But as Legion approached, I decided to just buy a 6-month subscription at once so I could get the monthly subscription at a cheaper price, and ended up not buying my tokens anymore in the auction house. So I kind of stopped following what the prices were doing on there. And then as Legion has come up, what I've found is that while I am slowly gaining in gold, because I don't work the auction house a lot, I don't do a lot of things that I don't go to that extra mile to try and make lots of gold. My gold amount is very slowly going up and up, as long as I'm not spending large amounts of it. But I'm not making nearly as much as I did when I had that garrison set up that I did before.
I'm paid up until March, actually, with all the tokens from Draenor, so I'm sitting pretty for a while, but I know it's going to run out. What I'm also noticing, though, is the vendor or the person who gives you the extra raid tokens, the Seal of Broken Fates, that's a gold sink right there. So what's that? It's about 7,000 gold per week that you can go and just buying tokens. That's also sort of cutting into my my profits.
Yes, same with me. Lorelei, how about you?
Yeah, I've been trying to find things to put on the auction house, and I think I've mentioned this before. I put the demon steel arm guards up. Now the prices on my server, I noticed, have dropped a lot. I used to undercut everybody and just sell them for about 5,000 gold a piece, and then I could make enough gold to buy my 3 seals for the week. I've been trying to put potions up and flasks, just anything. I always take now right now I've been taking the gold rewards from my missions. Those help. If I need one more world quest, I'll go for the highest gold one.
Okay. Yeah, now see, I follow the auction house. I've been doing the auction house since vanilla, since day one. So what is that, 12 years ago? And I really enjoyed playing the auction house because I also play our actual stock market. So it is very similar. But what I noticed as soon as those tokens came out and Draenor opened up with the garrisons and the gold treasure guy, you could get treasure seekers and double the amount of gold you could get from a quest. I noticed the auction house dropped off. You couldn't sell anything. Very rarely could you sell something. Plus, every time you turned around and you opened up a mission from one of your garrison people, it had a ton of green, and every once in a while you get a blue item that you could go sell, or a purple you could go sell in the auction house, but they wouldn't sell. So I noticed that the auction house, when the tokens came into effect, the auction house really took a dive, and I think this is their way of bringing back the auction house and leveling out their economy. I really do, because it's actually really important. I mean, a game can totally crash and just go to pieces if anybody can get whatever they want when they want it, and it's cheap.
I think they had that problem with Diablo, and they had to go back and revamp the whole auction house situation too. So they've definitely now with the Legion come up with ways of relieving us of our excess gold.
Yeah, because I think they noticed a lot of people. I got a friend of mine that's got like over 3 million gold, and I'm like, what do you
Wow.
what do you spend it on? And he doesn't buy tokens. He still pays he buys it a month at a time too. He's an electrician, single, so he can afford it. But he buys them a month at a time and still has a tremendous amount of gold. But he just likes the feeling of having this huge gold reserve. Of course, he's also bought the really expensive mounts, the 300, 400,000 gold mount. He'll buy one for him and one for his other buddy. And it's like, okay. But yeah, but he really enjoys just making the money.
I may own all of those mounts too.
But I think the economy was a big factor in it. I really do, because I just saw everything take a dive, and I was like, well, I'm not going to fight it. I'm just going to roll with it. And now I'm starting to see the auction house come back, hence why our potions are so expensive, and the inscriptions. Every time they came out with an X pack before, that's what happened. Where there was a race. You could just see it in the people. There was a race to go out and be the first one to get that enchantment out there, that high level enchantment out there, because you could sell it for a fortune because nobody else could do it. And then as people started catching up and everybody could start doing those enchantments, the prices came down big time, you know. So
I wonder if they just made that race slower, just because leveling is so complex.
It's hard to say, but I think that has a lot to do with it. Let's move on to our next question. And this was posed by another listener that they did a boss fight, a world boss fight, and they died close to the end of it, and they're running back as a ghost, and bam, they get the bonus roll, but they didn't get the resources. They didn't finish that world quest. Jobu, you want to explain what you found that the best thing to do is?
Okay, yeah, if you're a ghost during the time when the world boss dies, and you have not, resurrected yourself, and you're not near the boss, then you won't get credit. Even if you're like near the boss and you're a ghost, you just simply won't get credit for that fight. As far as the world quest goes, you'll still get loot and your bonus roll, but you won't get the credit. So what I've found is that if I go to do a world quest or a world boss and I end up dying, if the boss is still fresh, if I die near the beginning of the fight, then I will release, and then I will run back as quick as I can and get myself back on my feet and join the fight again. But if it's, about halfway or it's getting towards the end of the fight, I'll just lay there on the ground and, wait until either somebody B-reses me. Sometimes if I'm in a raid group, then I'll ask for a B-res so I can help with the fight. But otherwise, I just lay there on the ground as a corpse. The boss dies, I get credit for the world quest, and I get my rolls, and then I can, I'll get my bonus roll at that point, and I'll just release at that point, and then run back to where the boss is dead, and get myself up, loot the corpse, and use my bonus roll at that point. So you're basically, the tip is if you die during a world boss, don't release, because you won't get credit for the world quest. Unless, maybe the boss is at the beginning of the fight and you can get back before the boss dies.
Lorelei, have you experienced this?
I experienced that today. I was out on my priest and I said, I'll go kill the world boss and get my resources, and died before as the boss was about 3/4 of the way down. And as I was running back, they killed him, and I got to make a bonus roll, but I got no resources, and I had to go back and do it all over again.
Epistle, have you experienced it?
Oh yes, I think by trial and error, I've come to the same conclusion, but haven't heard anybody else sort of talk about it like Jobui has, and certainly that's been my experiences. So if I die, I don't get the loot. Sometimes I got to roll, or it's been a little quirky. So I pretty much just laying on the ground. Of course, as a tank, you have the luxury that you're more likely to be battle res than others. But yeah, I can't go through all the hassle of coming back just to miss, the opportunity to loot.
Yeah, so what I've been doing, and I'm really glad Joe Bowie told me about this, because what I've been doing is I will release and run back, but then I'll stay as a ghost until they kill the boss. And then get it done.
You get credit doing
too.
that?
No. And that's what I didn't know.
Oh.
So
I won't do that then.
Yeah. So once Joe Bowie told me that, I was like, oh, that's why I had to do it twice on both of my tunes.
Pro tip here, don't do it the way Favre did.
That's right. All right, so one more world boss question. How do you tell what world bosses have already been done? And did you know there's an achievement for it? Joe Bowie?
Yeah, there is a there is an achievement for it, and let me get the name of that achievement real quick for
I
you.
think Unleashed Monstrosities.
Yes, that's the one. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat on that. There's a bug on Withered Jim, which is one of the world bosses, where when you beat Withered Jim, you don't get credit in Unleashed Monstrosities for that. But the Unleashed Monstrosities, it says you have to defeat 8 of the following monstrous creatures on the Broken Isle, and there are more than 8. So you don't necessarily have to kill them all in order to get the credit for that achievement. And to my knowledge, right now the only boss that has not spawned so far is Animus, and all the rest of them have come up. But so there's like Nazak the Fiend, that's the one in Suramar that's off the timer, and the rest of them that I know of are on the weekly timer. I don't know if Animus is or not actually, because she hasn't spawned yet. So that could be a weekly one or not. But yeah, basically you just have to kill 8 of the world bosses and you will get the achievement.
Of course, then we got Withered Jim the Troublemaker.
Yeah, but I don't know if that one even counts. Because nobody has that one checked off on their Unleash Monstrosities because
Yeah, I
nobody
was
gets
just
credit.
checking because I didn't either, and I said, "Wait a minute, I know for a fact I've done that one."
Yeah,
I've done it twice.
I've done it twice. Yeah, I've killed him twice, and I still don't have credit for him. I was a little upset about that at first because I was trying to get the Unleashed Monstrosities, and I was like, wait a minute, I know I've killed Wither Jim, I've killed him twice, and I don't have it. And then I found out that it's a bug.
Yep. Yeah, because I'm looking at mine. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 done. I need to kill one more, and I've killed Withered Jin at least twice because he came up. I think it was the first weekend, and then the next week he came up again, and we were like, they're supposed to rotate these bosses every week, and that was kind of a mistake on Blizzard's part.
Yeah, that was. I was kind of. Well, we got. I think the very first one was Nithog, the dragon, and then we got Withered Jim twice in a row after that. And
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
yeah, a lot of people were upset about the fact that we got the same world boss twice because we're like, we want to see some more stuff. There are a ton of world bosses. Let us see the new ones, and they just weren't there for a little bit.
All right, so like I said at the beginning, we need to talk a little bit about the Festival of Winterveil and artifact gathering. So we're going to talk about the festival first. What do you like about the feast? Or I'm sorry, I keep saying festival. Feast of Winterveil, just around the corner. It's WoW's Christmas. What do you like about it, and what you not like about it, Joe Bowie?
I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I don't do a lot of the holiday stuff. I know there's a lot of people who do. I do like, that the one thing I can say that I like is that at least in the past with the garrisons, we would get like Christmassy style decorations in our garrison that we could put up, like Christmas lights and and trees and stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty cool. I liked that aspect of it, but I don't do a whole lot with those. I'm hoping that they do something in our class halls where our class halls are kind of decorated a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say, because I don't do it either. I always go get my Christmas present from it's not Santa. What's he called? Old Man Winter or something?
Father something or other?
Yeah, Father Winter or something like
Father
that.
Winter, that's it. So I know Lorelei does them. Father
I
Winter.
will admit, my garrisons are decked out already.
Nice.
Are they really?
Yes, I
Oh,
go
your
back
garrison,
because
yeah.
I turn my pet charms when I do the pet battles in Dalaran when they're up. I collect all those pet charms and then I go turn them in, and I am trying to turn all of my pets into rares. So like I just turned in 176 and made pretty much everything I've got now as a rare. And it's like, oh, okay, I get to go down and buy my Christmas decorations. So everybody's all decked out.
So what do you get? 3 pets for pet battle? I have 3 pets that are level 25 because I got those tokens on the garrison for achieving. It's like a quest, and you go get that one token that'll automatically take a pet to 25. Those are the only 3. I got 3 pets that are 25. I don't do much with pet petals.
I've got to see how. I guess I have to go on to the site, the Battle Pet site, and see. But I've got 717 pets right now.
Wow.
Lorelei is our pet battle expert.
I have a problem with pets.
And
admit it.
You're the crazy pet lady.
And the crazy pet lady. Although
Wait.
Tensoon has more than I do, so he's crazier than I am.
Well,
now
we
that
knew
you
that
had
too.
mentioned that about the garrison, I go back to my garrison fairly frequently. That's where I do all my auction house stuff, and you reminded me of that. And now all of my Worgans are walking around in Santa outfits, and there's trees and lights, and it looks all festive and nice. And I had forgotten to do that, but now it looks really cool there.
Well, and I'm with you, Joe Bowie. I'm looking forward to see if they do anything with the class halls. I'm looking around now and I see absolutely nothing yet in the Hunter one, but maybe they won't because each class hall is unique, so maybe they won't decorate it up, but I really hope they do. We'll have to kind of see how that one goes and we'll talk about it later.
Can I confess something?
Absolutely.
My Toon Atha, the druid, always has things permanently Christmas, and all of December he wears his red woolen hat and gear everywhere.
Can you transmog gear into that, or do you have to wear it outright?
I'm not sure about the transmog. Just in the past, I've always just worn the hat.
I tried.
Oh, good. You can't. You can't. Or you can.
No, you can't. I was like, I had
Oh.
this set. I wanted the gaudy sweater set, and I went in. And it was like, oh, I get to do this finally, and it's like, nope, can't do it.
Special request to Blizzard then.
It is something I want them to be. Why can't we take all this holiday garb and transmog with it? I mean, I'm not going to run around in a pilgrim outfit that's a level 1.
I know, right? So
Well,
I
yeah,
don't
if they
even
make
carry
me.
it.
But
All
I guess
all they
you can
really
also
need to
get in the
do-
transporter and turn. Let me go try that. I'm at my garrison. It's Christmas. I wish it was snowing.
Yeah, I wish there was
I
something around
don't.
too.
I don't.
The reason why we're not from what I understand as to why we're not allowed to transmog a lot of the
holiday
festive
stuff.
gear, the holiday stuff that we get is because it's gray. It's considered like low level. It's not even a green item, and in order to transmog an item, it has to be green or above. So it comes up as these items are listed as common, I think, as opposed to rare, which I think green is rare or uncommon, actually, I think is what green is.
Yeah.
So they need to be at least uncommon quality in order to transmog them, and none of the festive gear, like there's bunny suits, there's like bunny ears and like tuxedos and like the festive gear, like the Santa looking stuff, and all that, and it's all common gray gear, and we can't transmog gray gear.
Well, now I did find you can go stand in your little goblin transmog portrait, whatever they call it, and you can become a gnome in Santa gear and still keep your gear level. But I don't want to be a gnome necessarily.
Exactly.
I don't want nobody to punt me.
And I want to wear a gaudy sweater.
Uh-huh. You know what? If Blizz is listening, Emerald Nightmare Christmas Edition. It would be wildly popular.
I'd love to be able to run around in a bunny suit. I think my gnome would be just perfect in the bunny suit.
That actually reminded me of something. Now that was something they did back in Warlords of Draenor, where the raid bosses had like Santa hats and stuff on, which I thought was pretty funny. I remember there was a couple of them. I don't remember the exact name. It was the big trolley looking guy that was in there, and he was wearing a Santa hat, and there was other Christmassy themed or holiday themed stuff on various bosses in the raid, which I would like to see Blizzard do more of that kind of stuff. That stuff is small but fun.
I'm sure I'd really want to see a Blizzard bunny suit though, because where they might go with that might be, I don't know.
Yeah, that could go all sorts of wrong.
Yeah. So I do know when my daughter was playing, she started playing WoW. when she was 4 years old. She could play WoW before she could read. She did. I mean, so hats off to Blizzard, because she would go figure out where the quests were at and what she had to do, and she couldn't read a word of what the quest line was or the storyline or anything. But
Wait, you read quest text?
no, not me.
No, not me.
And
Oh, okay.
and my wife is one of those ones that she just abhors watching the video, the cutscenes. She's like, I want to skip this one, and they always make you play one first, and you can't skip it. Then after that, you can skip them. But one of the things my daughter would always do was go buy stuff and then buy the wrapping and then send presents through the mail to every tune that my wife had and I had and my son had. It was so funny.
Guilty. I do that all the time at birthdays and Christmas. I'm constantly buying gift wrap and sending things to people.
That's cool. You know,
And-
I would just love to see like Nathendra with like
A
Christmas
big
lights
red
on
hat
it.
on.
Absolutely,
Red hat
Christmas
or
lights,
Christmas
blinking,
lights all over.
blinking
Yeah,
green lights.
Yeah, blinking Christmas lights on
I
Nathendra would
love
be
it.
awesome. Or especially Il'gynoth, the Heart of Corruption, the tree, decorated would be fantastic.
Yes,
Oh,
that
the
would be
bear,
cool.
Ursoc, should have a big glowy red nose.
Oh, that would be beautiful too.
Then you wouldn't care
Blizzard,
if we
you
wiped
gotta
on them.
listen to our podcast.
I know. I was so excited when they gave us the decorations in the garrison, because I thought, I want them to go all out. I want every holiday. I want Thanksgiving decorations. I want anything. I want 4th of July. I want it all, and then we get nothing.
Well, I have to admit, I used to go to Stormwind and watch the fireworks go off when they, this was like year 4.
Oh, same. Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. When they first did it, it was like year 4 when they decided to do it. I think it was New Year's Eve. And every hour, on the hour, there'd be a fireworks show over Stormwind. And I would purposely run my tune back to Stormwind right before then to watch the fireworks show, because it was actually pretty cool. It was actually done really well.
Yeah, we had young kids. We actually couldn't take them out for it's cold here on New Year's, and so that was kind of our virtual celebration.
Yeah, I remember I've done that as well. Gone to Stormwind to watch those fireworks going off. I think there was 4th of July fireworks is one of my favorite yearly events. I absolutely love watching fireworks, and so I would go there to like watch the virtual fireworks go off. I thought that was really cool. In fact, at one point I bought up a whole bunch of the fireworks that you could buy, and while they were going off, I flew up on a tower and was like setting them off as well. And so I had my own little fireworks to join the show, and all that, which I'm sure nobody paid attention to but me, but it was still fun for me.
Yeah, you had to run around and get the 2 different cannon launchers, the small one and the large one.
Yeah.
Yep, I remember that. All right, last question of the night. Artifact power gathering methods. So artifact power is what you use to level your weapon. So what's some of the ways that you guys have, your own personal methods of gathering artifact power, or maybe some of the ways that you've found that you've gotten artifact power? Joe Bowie?
Okay, well, the key ingredient to artifact power is artifact knowledge. There's in every class hall there is a toon in there, an NPC that you can speak with to research artifact knowledge. Now, artifact knowledge will give you 2 things. One, it gives you story every couple of levels or so about your artifact weapon. So you get to, and actually all the artifact weapons for that particular class. It doesn't just tell you about the one that you're using the most. And so you can go to your great big book and you can read the story of how your weapon came to be, which I personally find pretty interesting. And then the second effect that it gives you is a bonus to how much artifact power you gather after having learned that knowledge. And so for an example, when you start off, you get no bonus at all. And then, at artifact knowledge level 1, I think you get, a small boost. It gradually goes all the way up to artifact knowledge 25, which at artifact knowledge 25, you get something on the order of 24,900% artifact knowledge boost. Now, the way that works is as you go around in the world, you get these what I call tokens with artifact power on them. You get them from world quests, you get them from defeating bosses in dungeons and in raids. You can get them out of the chests at the end of Mythic Plus dungeons. And of course, there's the rewards from some quests as well. And that percentage is what determines how much artifact power comes out of those tokens. But it's the amount that you get out of that is determined by how much artifact knowledge you have when you acquired the token. So like, let's say you acquire a token and it's worth 100 artifact power, and then you keep it in your bag and you go learn your artifact knowledge. Well, that token's still worth 100. It's not going to go up based on your newly acquired artifact knowledge. It only goes up based on your already known knowledge. So what I do is I go around and I do world quests. That's the primary world quests that I do, is artifact knowledge world quests. I do some of the storyline quests like in Suramar, which those tend to grant nice sized tokens of artifact power. I go, a lot of times I'll do a random heroic each day. You know, because those are usually pretty quick these days. A lot of players are very, very well geared, and they're doing the same thing I am. They're just going for the artifact power token. So those can be like as few as like 15 minutes to complete one of those. So, you know, that's more or less how I collect my artifact power. And the key is getting that artifact knowledge. Now, a little known thing about artifact knowledge, because, you know, like, I mean, that takes a lot of time. From the start of the game, I will reach my artifact knowledge level 25 on January 5th. I figured that out a long time ago. So, you know, that's when I'll reach max artifact knowledge. And I've got all these other toons who, you know, I will probably get to level 110, but it seems like it would take forever to get them up in their artifact knowledge. Blizzard has two ways that they're addressing that issue. One is a new toon that has just hit 110 today. Their artifact knowledge is gained once every 3 days. Is how fast you gain it right now. Later on, it'll be once every 2 days, and I believe it'll eventually get down to once every day. But if you had a Vanguard toon, a toon that was level 110, like near the beginning of Legion, then our artifact knowledge cooldown timer for how often we get it is once every 5 days. So it takes a little while. So that's the first catch-up mechanic, is that a newly minted toon, like an alt, will get a shorter time to gain artifact knowledge. But there is, coming down the pipe, there is a new feature that they're going to be adding, which is the ability to purchase an artifact knowledge token that is account bound, that you can send to a freshly minted alt that has just gotten up to 110. And depending on your current artifact knowledge on your main, like let's say you're at level 25 already, then you'll be able to purchase a 5 artifact knowledge token, a 10 artifact knowledge token, a 15, or a 20 artifact knowledge token. So then you could buy this 20 artifact knowledge token, send it right to your alt who has just hit 110, and they will get the bonus of, I believe it's 9,000% at level 20.
And that's what I got right now at 20, yeah.
Yeah, so you can give your alts that a real big boost in catching up as far as artifact power goes, so that they won't be behind forever, and they can become useful after you've played a main. And that's about it for artifact knowledge as far as I know.
All right, Lorelei, do you have a way of that you gather your artifact power?
When I really need it to move along, if I'm getting close, I will to my next level. I'll do the world quests just that give me the artifact power, and I've just had a lot of success with that.
All right, Epistle?
I'm taking a slightly different tack on it. with a pistol though, it's always I'll just do every artifact power quest I can and topping up as quickly as I can, doing it sort of the hard way. But for my alts, I leveled them up pretty quickly and then just sent them out of the world quests only to get either gear or resources. Mostly resources because I'm just sending them in to keep doing all the research. By figuring then, they'll get a little run in now and again. They'll get some artifact power through, order hall missions and other things. It's enough to, get by. But the idea being that at some point, once they're, a little better geared, a little more equipped, I'll send them out and then they can go crazy on the artifact power missions. But I'll get much more power for my effort and the time I'm putting in on my alts.
Okay, so just so if you don't know where your artifact knowledge level is located, if you go to where you buy your next level in your artifact, if you go to the upper left-hand corner, there's a number up there, and that's the rank that you've purchased, or you purchased that many ranks in your weapon so far. Right below it, if you mouse over that number, it'll give you a list and it'll say artifact knowledge level, whatever it is. And it'll tell you what your increase percentage-wise is every time you gather something that gives you artifact power. So like my mage, who I just started, is a 275% upgrade, but my hunter is a 3600% upgrade every time I gather anything. And you can get those out of the treasure chests that are located around the world. The hidden ones, you can get them off bosses. Sometimes bosses will drop some sort of little token that'll give you artifact power. And that's pretty much the only way I've done it, is the bosses and then running around and doing the world quests. I do every time my champions have something to go after artifact power, I always try to do those quests. Because that's just like free artifact power, having them do that. You got to spend the resources, but it's free artifact power. So, anybody got anything to add? Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, one other little tip is I've not done the Suramar quest line on my healer because he's kind of the second priority. But the idea there being, I'm going to wait until my artifact power is high enough, and those give such a great reward. When I'm high enough, I'm going to go and get a big kick from those ones.
So you're saying you're doing your research.
That's right, just research.
Yep.
On my alts, yeah.
Yeah, I have my alts cooking research all the time. Even if I'm not playing them, I log them in to cycle out their research.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I should note is Mythic Plus dungeons. Mythic dungeons give you a certain amount of artifact power, and Mythic Plus 2 is going to give you a little bit more artifact power for any artifact power tokens you get out of that. The higher level you go in Mythic Plus, the more artifact power is in those tokens. So you can get some pretty high level, at my rank right now, level 20, those artifact tokens are worth somewhere on the order of around 40,000 artifact power per token for doing a Mythic Plus dungeon if you get some out of the chests at the end of the Mythic Plus. I know there's actually a guy out there who has completed all 20 Paragon ranks of his weapon. He's completed his artifact weapon, and he mostly did it by spamming Mythic Plus dungeons and getting those tokens. So yeah, there's a lot of artifact power to be gained that way too.
I wonder if he's got his research all the way up though.
No, nobody can.
I didn't think so.
The earliest that somebody could get artifact knowledge level 25 would be like if they did it on the very first day. If they got to level 110 on the very first day Legion opened, I think it would come out as like January 3rd. It took me like a couple of days to get level 110 when it came out, and then I started my artifact research at that time, and it's been cooking solid the whole time at 5 days per pop, and it'll get finished on January 5th. So I think the earliest anybody can hit level 25 will be January 3rd or thereabouts.
Nice. All right, well, that's going to wrap up our podcast. I just want to throw out a reminder. We have a YouTube channel that plays our podcast, and then you just do a search for World of Warcraft Lion's Pride Tavern podcast, and it should be the only one that pops up. It should be the first ones. It features our artist, Donna Bell, as she draws our tunes, because we've given her screenshots of our tunes and our alts, and then she draws them as the podcast plays. So it gives you something to watch. It's pretty cool. We're on iTunes, we're on Google Play, and we're on Podomatic with lionsprideTavern.podomatic.com. Most people are listening, obviously, know how to get to us, but please share this with your friends. Let everybody know. We would like to hear, see double our listeners, and maybe even Blizzard would start listening to us. Go ahead, Joe. You had something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you find, the information that we share with you folks helpful, and somebody who could, maybe use some of the information that we share, or you think it might be a benefit to them, don't hesitate. Turn them on to the show.
Yeah, and definitely if you have a question or comment, or you want to hear something that we specifically want to talk about, leave us go to podomatic.com and our website there. And there's a, you can sign up to be a member. It's free. You can leave a comment there, or you can email me personally. It's at lionsprideTavern@yahoo.com. So feel free to email me. We'll put the question on the air. I've gotten a couple. Got a couple of questions from our listeners, so please let us know. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
See you later.
If you like this podcast, throw us a like and subscribe to our channel. And please, leave comments or questions below. Maybe we'll answer them on the air next podcast. We are hosted on Podomatic.com. Our website is lionsprideTavern.podomatic.com. Our podcast also airs on iTunes for Apple users, Google Play for Androids, and YouTube. Just search World of Warcraft Lions Pride Tavern podcast. See you next week, and thanks for listening.